Hey, this is Debbie with Cultural Alignment Solutions, and I want to welcome you to the Expansion Factor podcast. I am super excited about today because I am not the host. Jenelle is going to be our host today. And Jenelle, this was all your idea. So I am like done talking, and it is completely yours, my dear.
Oh, well, thank you. And yes, I'm so excited. I don't even know what a host does exactly, but hey, we're going to do it. We're going to do this thing. And I'm really, really, truly honored to be here to talk to Aubyn and Debbie. And Debbie, before we even get into the questions around the book, please share with us your relationship with Aubyn.
Oh, my relationship with Aubyn. Let me see. Gee, how did I meet Aubyn? No, no lie. So Aubyn was assigned to me. Have you ever had assigned friends? Aubyn was assigned to me. No, I went through a program for writing my new book, which is coming out, which has been an adventure and a journey. And I had the extreme honor to literally be introduced to Aubyn through the group that I was working with as I just called her my editor, developmental editor. Anyway, we became really good friends, real intimate, really quick, and she knows how to give some dang good feedback. So she helped me all the way through the book, and I completely adore her, respect her opinion, the way she shows up and does not withhold and completely speaks into your life. So that's how I met her.
Awesome. And Aubyn, what would you like the audience or anyone that's listening, of course, right now, what would you like them to know about you?
Well, back at you, Debbie, first, everything. Yeah, I was assigned to Debbie, but it was a very lucky assignment. They go back and forth on what to call us. Basically, we're people that help people finish their books, So some people need a little editing, some people need a little coaching,
Yeah.
but it's that sort of role. So Debbie, came in so ready. And, it I like thinking about our relationship because our initial conversations led me to believe that this book was very business focused. It was a book about teamwork. It was a book you know, about being at work, which is great. We need more books like that. But it quickly found out that it was all about like real life logic. And, you asked questions about me, but that's like my favorite kind of book when you can sort of zoom out and say, like, oh, you can apply this anywhere. And that's sort of what the book became. And I really, really enjoyed working on this one.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, then I cannot wait to dive in. Now that we know a little bit about the two of you and how you all came together in this relationship, let's dive into why we're actually here, which is to talk about The Expansion Factor, Debbie's
Yay.
book that is coming out. And so excited for everyone to get a copy, to read it, and to see and to dive in, like you even talked about, Alvin, to make it more, because it's not just about teamwork and being in a corporate environment or being in a company or a leader. It's so much more than that. So, Debbie, on that note, this book is so personal, so
Mhm.
bold. What was it about the timing, divine timing? I know we talked about that, the divine timing of getting it out now.
Oh, that just arrived and showed up. That wasn't anything to do with me. That was definitely universal, but it was not the book that I originally stepped into this program to write. That's what was so powerful about it. And I am very, very committed to like my morning way of that I wake up, my coffee, where I go, my chair I sit in. It's all, I don't want to say it's the same, but it's pretty much the same. And one morning I was sitting there and I knew I had joined this group to write this book, but I really wasn't sure what all it was going to be, how it was going to be. And I literally was sitting there in silence, and it was the expansion factor in life, leadership, and love. And I went, what the hell is that? I was like, I can take the middle word, leadership, but in life and in love. And it was as plain as day. I mean, I just heard it like it was someone sitting in a chair across from me. And I allowed myself to just sit with it. And then the phrase came, you are always expanding. What are you expanding? once that like got seated inside of me, my 17 years of this entire journey, it like literally just unfolded. And I am one that isn't, and y'all know this because you've been around me now. When you walk in, have you ever walked into a training and you're in the moment and it's awesome and you feel like you're learning and you got all these takeaways and you walk out and then you just go, well, how do I apply that? Where does it fit into the puzzle? And the application piece just has this massive gap. And I've attended so many things like that. And it's not that it's good, bad, right, or wrong. I just know for me, and the theme of my life is I want to expand, right? The ability to be able to have an action that literally you can see the results change in your life, but it all has to come from the inside out because I believe we lead and we expand from the inside out. So whatever's going on in there is expanding out here. And then that's where it all birthed. And so Aubyn coached me through how to break it all up and to make it all happen, but that's how it happened. That's how it dropped in.
Well, Aubyn, on that note too, you've worked with, I'm sure, many different people, many different books that you have seen come across your desk. This book, for you personally, reading this one, what stood out to you or maybe surprised you the most or maybe even enjoyed the most of this book?
Oh man, I love this book. I think a few, in terms of what stood out right away was how much common sense is Debbie's secret sauce,
Oh.
you know, but like in a really beautiful way. Like common sense, it can be brutal, it can be funny, it can be kind, but no matter how Debbie looked at it, with Debbie, you can't ignore it. And that's what sets this book apart. Like I love when clients come with reverse problems than a lot of people. And Debbie and I have talked about this. And it has to do with just what you were saying, Debbie, about what is that application. A lot of people come in and to start, they can write pages and pages and pages on the why you need to do this, why you need to think of things the other way, what can happen to your life if you do this. It's very much the beginning and the end, but there's no how. There's nothing in the middle. And people know it, but you got to really get it out of them. And in Debbie's case, there was so much how that sometimes I needed her to like slow down and just tell me things for a little while. So right away, those were sort of my big takeaways working on this book. And it's just so practical and so beautiful in all the different ways it gives you to solve your own problems, find your own solutions. It's really beautiful that way.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm
Mhm.
getting so excited about it, about reading it myself too. So there is a rawness, Debbie, about how you write about expansion, even speak about expansion and how you share your journey, your own personal journey.
Mhm.
I know whenever we're interviewing, but whenever we are coaching
Yeah.
clients, there's just this rawness about expansion for you in that word. Writing about it in this book, what might have been a chapter or something that really you had to step fully into expansion to write about?
Mm. Aubyn. No. I will tell, I know, Aubyn. Um, couple things though I want to say about that is one, finding my voice. I was blocked when I first came to write the book and trying to create this little formal, I don't know where it got in my head that it had to be written like this certain way. And Aubyn never would let me settle. And I think it was just something I happened to turn in that had just a little bit of tweak to it, a little bit of sass to it. She went, there's your voice right there. She
Mm.
goes, go back and write this. She'd send me back and I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's like words, come on, let's go, let's get this done. I was thinking I could go in there and just pop it out and get it done. Finding my voice and that I just tell it like it is. It's very raw. If you want a book cuss word free, this won't be a book that you want to read. If it's just I'm very direct, and to be able to embrace that into my words and write it into the chapters and it feel like me was very, very actually freeing there at the end, I'm trying to think if it was it. I think it was in the life section. Aubyn was go back and more story, more story. I dug through the archives of stories and just really remembering. And there was one story. I think I had said something in the book like I had learned, or it was a lesson. It was some kind of statement like that, Aubyn. I don't know if you remember. And you literally in the notes said, what, how did you learn? And I went back and it was a Saturday and I knew it was the love section. I think it was the love section. And I wrote my story into it. And was that was pivotal. It was actually easier to write everybody else's, but when I wrote my story and a part of my story, that was eye-opening. It was gripping and I cried and all that kind of stuff that went with it, but it was so freeing. So freeing. So thank you, Aubyn.
Oh man. So, Aubyn, on that note too, this book is so bold, sassy, and so very vulnerable. You've said it, she said it, right? It just really gets down to the root and the meat of the vulnerability pieces. How did you navigate a project that literally tips on the line of professional leadership, right? And then personal growth?
Yeah, it speaks so much to Debbie's voice. Not to get on a writer's pedestal for the moment, but she's such a case, like a shining example of why you should never draft with AI. Like revise, edit, organize yourself, whatever, fine. But Debbie wrote this on paper, which so many great writers do because you automatically get two drafts out of it, right? You've got to transfer it to digital to have somebody else read it, and that automatically gives you a chance to reconsider everything. Um, but the other thing is that when you draft with AI, you lose that voice. And the question that I get every writer to try to answer is, why are you the only person that can write this book?
Mhm.
Right? So many, books that try to help people grow, however much you want to pare it back, it gets down to sort of the same things, right? But it's about finding that voice that really tells it to you in the way you need to hear it. And, again, that's Debbie shines. So it has to do with voice, but it also has to do with your personal experiences. You have to share something. It can be clients, and of course with identities masked. Debbie does that very well. I don't know anybody that she's really talking about. Um, but it's about getting vulnerable, about saying, like, I actually feel this way because I've witnessed this, this, and this. It's scary and it's terrifying
Yeah.
sometimes, but because it sort of makes you need to take a stand. But so the navigation there, because it came from such a real place, both in voice and experience, it wasn't that hard to do. And because Debbie takes her own advice, she tells it to you like it is, and she likes hearing it the way it is,
Yeah.
and knows that it's all in the spirit to make this book better. And um, so yeah, it wasn't a difficult line to walk.
I will have to tell this story though about Aubyn. So I chose, and Janelle, you and I talked about this a little bit in the beginning. I chose to write the book like I read. All right. Well, I don't know how many books in this office right now that are full of sticky notes, post-its, markers, highlighters, but they're not read cover to cover. And so Aubyn challenged me in the beginning to not do that. I don't know if you remember this, Aubyn, but you did. And you were like, people do read books cover to cover. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't. So then I started getting the little chatter in my head. Well, Aubyn knows what maybe I should. And I was going back and forth. And I was actually getting a block around it because all of a sudden I found I couldn't write the chapter because I was wanting to write it as almost a grazer because I like to get up in the morning and go, oh, I'm feeling page 93 in this book. I don't know why, but I'm going to open it and read it. And y'all, 9 times out of 10, that's all I need. And might be just a paragraph. Some of them is go third paragraph down. Go chew on that for the day. And I knew for me, I just wanted to try and really challenge myself to see if I could do that. And then, Aubyn, you were encouraging me the other way, cover to cover. and I was losing the sense of being able to do it. And once, for me personally, it had nothing to do with Aubyn or anybody else. I was sitting and I went, I have to stay true to me. I have to stay true to me. And I went back and I think we even had a conversation about it, and I said, just let's go there, let's get it down. And then it truly became a mutual because she was not judgmental at all, became very objective as the observer, and it really helped me. And so we did. We had to move some things around. I'm super happy with the end result. It is a Grazer's book, but it's also a cover to cover book. So it brought both of our it did, and it was really cool to let it the book actually started birthing itself because it was not hard to put it in order. It did it itself once, almost like you and I, Aubyn, did like the book ends, in all honesty, to kind of get it to flow, or to get it to flow. So that was actually an interesting part for me to have to go through, and really staying true to my original vision of knowing that this is how I wanted it to come out.
For sure.
Speaking of, oh, sorry, Aubyn, go ahead, please.
No, I'm sorry. I was just agreeing.
Yeah, yeah. This has been a journey for y'all. I can only imagine like the first conversation to where it is right now, having this conversation, knowing that there's going to be so many people with this book in their hand reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Debbie, the flow, right? You and I talk about it all the time, the ripple effect.
Yeah.
What is it that you would love people either to claim for themselves as a ripple after reading this book, or something that they get to take to move forward with as a ripple effect after they read this book?
No, great question. I want people to really walk away with a knowing, a true knowing, when they're sitting in the realness of themselves, that they are at the helm of expanding whatever the hell it is that they want to expand. That's it. And if you want to expand chaos, have at it. If you want to expand connectivity, have at it. If you want to expand life, you're expanding it. What are you expanding in it? Love, what are you expanding? And to me, that has been the whole journey of this book, has been so freeing, because leadership actually falls. Being an inspiring, incredible, kick-ass leader falls after you understand life and love. And that's why I think it's just beautiful the way it sandwiched itself, because it all works together and it's all an inside out work. And if you don't stop to sit and realize, what emotion am I feeling and what's its message? And then what is it expanding? And when you get just that in sync and it becomes your flow, it makes actually the choice a whole lot easier.
Mm.
Just does.
I can literally feel the expansion ripple happening, Debbie. It's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Aubyn, for you, you're the first one to see the book as a big picture, beginning to end. For you, what would you love to see also as the ripple effect for people that read this book?
I hope that people really allow themselves to enjoy Debbie's voice. Um, and to really let the experiences she's sharing sink in, that these are real people who dealt with real things. She is a master at getting that empathy out of the reader through her stories. Whether we do it consciously or subconsciously or I don't know, I'm not Freud, but whether we're doing it on purpose or not, the reader's always wondering what they would do in the situation that's unfolding on the page. There's a conflict, there's at least two choices. They're thinking, what would I do? And Debbie really forces you into that position to really say, okay, even though this is a very different person's very specific story, I'm forcing, the answers to come even before Debbie gets to them on the page, because I'm putting myself in there. So just enjoy the voice. She speaks to so many different types of problem solvers. You've got, just like the grazers versus the people who read the whole thing, there's certain chapters where you're really almost calculating. Like you actually have to sort of focus and organize and do some of that. And then there are other chapters where you just need to sit back and just enjoy the story and the words that are coming. And you don't have to think about things that way. You don't have to map something out. So, enjoy grazing, enjoy reading it through. Either way, it's a truly beautiful book.
Yes. And it's for me, being a co-coach with Debbie so many years now, it is the words that you're using to describe the book and the process, I'm like, not surprised because that's also comes to life in our coaching that we do as well with leaders on the phone and just with the humans that are there that are
Mhm.
interacting with us on a daily basis. So thank you, Aubyn. Debbie, is there anything else you would like to say or to let people know about your book?
I will say I actually was sitting here giggling and laughing about I think I say it at the beginning of the section, who am I to write on love, right? The love section. I will tell you, out of all three sections, that actually ended up being my favorite, but it was my most fearful to go into write. Um, and I actually went on how long was it, Janelle? A 12-day retreat or
Yeah.
something like that with the commitment of writing it because I just kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off because I had no clue. And I literally, in that 12 days, witnessed that whole section right in front of me. And it was amazing. And then, which helped me also write the personal pieces because that's where that came in. And I will tell you firsthand that that is the section that changed my life. And to this day, while the others are there, it's like those were the lived, the things that got me here. And the love section is what's going to get me there. And so yeah, it's like expansion right in front of me. And I literally wake up going, oh shit, I'm living this book right now. Damn it. So, and it's just real. It's just real. And so I'm grateful for that. And often literally in those moments, I'll go back and hear something that you said in my head. So it's very just grounding. So,
It's true in the other direction too.
oh, thank you.
It comes up all the time, things in this book where I'm like, oh wow, I'm expanding, or that person's not expanding.
Well, they are, but what, right?
Correct, correct. Forgive me.
So. Anyway, I will say this really quick before we go. Speaking of, if anybody, I'm just going to encourage you that wants to write a book or do a book or whatever. I didn't know that people even would use AI in the beginning. I didn't know. Anyway. All I know is that I have a notebook and I have a certain color pen, right? It's purple pen, and I got a beautiful Vera Bradley, beautiful purple notebook, and that's where I wrote that whole book. Writing does something to the relationship inside of you with the words. And that's the only thing I'll encourage you to do. It flowed natural for me. I didn't know that there was another way to do it. And it was Aubyn and I were on the phone one day, and I think you had a question me about writing it. And I think I picked up my notebook and you were like, you wrote that whole thing? I said, yeah. Every morning, this is what I sit and do. It's like journaling. There's something with the pen, the paper, the brain, and putting it all together. It just literally allows you to have a completely different relationship. So I appreciate again that journey, and I really feel that was actually even a more bonding point that day for Aubyn and I because you got into my process, and yeah, it was cool. But I found out my process was not weird or all that kind of stuff, that it was just part of doing it. So I appreciate that very much. Everything you gave me, you've been a gift.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right, Aubyn, I have one last question for you. To sum up the Expansion Factor book, what is one word or phrase or something that just stood out to you that you're like, yep, this is the book?
I'm going to say something that you will not understand until you read it. And in fact, you won't even totally understand until you get to the end. But that is move the damn chair, which is one of my favorite phrases from Debbie. And it is a lesson on just everything. Big life. Move the damn chair.
Okay, let's move our chairs.
Let's do it.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. And I'm actually going to leave that as just they can read the book to find out what that means, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so very much for just being here and being vulnerable, being open. And Debbie, oh my gosh, So excited to see
Me
this
too.
beautiful cover. The book, everything about it is just absolutely amazing. It truly is expansion. And it's crazy because we've been talking about expansion, and then here you have this book that's
Yeah.
amazing. So excited to see what it does and just the conversations we get to have around it moving forward. And Aubyn, thank you for being here with us today. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you all.
My pleasure. Same.